World Regions Geography 110, South Asia, Part 4. So we're going to talk about Afghanistan. Afghanistan, of course, is a big part of recent American history, um, and has been a key pivotal point um, for many hundreds of years. And it's been difficult to control. It's fairly tribal, it's hilly, it's difficult to move troops around. Um, there's lots of places for people to hide and escape to, and that's been kind of the history, the military history of Afghanistan for centuries. So, just to give you an idea, the last person to conquer Afghanistan was Alexander the Great. Um, so, Afghanistan, both the British and the Russians attempted to conquer Afghanistan. And what you see here in this cartoon was the Afghans and the Russian bear and the British lion, and they're both eyeing the Afghan. Save me from my friends was they were both saying we're going to help you, but in reality they wanted to chew him up and divide the country or rule it. The British wanted to rule it, the Russians wanted to rule it. And so that's what the cartoon is about. They both wanted to gobble up Afghanistan and protect it from the other country. So they were both there supposedly to protect it from the other country. There was Russia from Britain and Britain from Russia. This attempt to seize control of Afghanistan was referred to as the Great Game. And if you've read any Kipling, you've read about the Khyber Pass, and the key factor there was that Afghanistan controls traffic from South Asia, India, Pakistan, through the mountains into Central Asia. And that's why the Russians wanted it. They were expanding into Central Asia, and the British wanted it to thwart the Russians and also to give them access to Central Asia. And so, that was the great game, this balancing between the two, playing each other off. Um, now, we talked a little bit earlier about the partition, and this was post World War II, 1947. Um, and the thing to remember, when the British arrived, all of this region of India, West Pakistan, Kashmir, were all, it was Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire was collapsing, was breaking apart. There was a lot of small principalities um, and small little kingdoms that were constantly at war with each other. The British came in with an army and technology and began to align itself with one group or the other, and gradually got control of the whole subcontinent there. And during World War II, the Indian National Congress was pushing for independence in the 20s and 30s, and the Nazis and the Japanese both tried to use this in order to kick off a civil war. The Nazis felt that if they could start a civil war in India, the British, one, wouldn't have access to the troops, and two, would probably sign a peace agreement with the Nazis in order to deal with India, because India was key to the British Empire and its wealth. And Japan felt the same thing. They felt if they invaded India that they would be welcomed as liberators, not as conquerors, and they would be able to have access to all the wealth and raw materials in India. But the British were able to negotiate with the Indian National Congress and agree to leave India and let it be its own country after World War II. So what happened was during these negotiations, particularly right after the war, you had the Muslims and the Hindus could not agree on how to set up the government to guarantee that there would not be a Hindu-dominated government. And there was virtually no way, since the vast majority of the people were Hindu. Um, so these native political factions were vying for control. The British decided to partition South Asia along religious lines. India would be Hindu, West Pakistan and East Pakistan Muslim, and Kashmir a neutral area. And this area here um, is the Sikh area, and the Sikhs at one time extended way over into this area. But in any case, they were kind of divided between West Pakistan and India, so they got squeezed out in the middle. Now, what happened was when they decided to partition to divide the country into Muslim, this was East Pakistan, which became Bangladesh, and West Pakistan, which became Pakistan, and then Kashmir was kind of left as an open area. In other words, nobody controlled it. It was divided between India and West Pakistan, um, and nobody really controlled it. So they had just a short period of time where everybody that was Muslim was supposed to go to the Pakistans, and everybody that was Hindu that was in this region or this region needed to come out and into India. And this is what the partition was known for. And there was incredible bloody robberies and murders of Hindus and Pakistans as they moved out of the former country. It was pretty brutal. And since then, you've had a number of wars that have taken place between Pakistan and India. And the difference is that they both now have nuclear weapons, and they have threatened to use them against each other. And it is one of the real flashpoints. And this area up here, Kashmir, and this region up here, along here, is what they call the tribal areas, northwest areas of Pakistan. And that's where Al Qaeda and bin Laden were. That's where a lot of the flashpoints between these two countries are over control of Kashmir. So the partition was a particularly difficult time. It is another example of post-colonial fallout. It is still an unsettled situation. And the thing to understand is there are still a lot of Muslims in India. And they are still second-class citizens, much like Sikhs are. And the Sikhs have been pushing for independence from India and Pakistan since the late 19th century. So this is an ongoing situation. And I think, to understand it, you have to realize that prior to the Raj, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of small principalities and little entities throughout India and Pakistan, and tribal entities, and there are many different languages. There's not one single language spoke here. So there's lots of issues, lots of ethnicities that are involved here. The Tamils in the south. So there's lots of ethnic issues, language issues, religious issues that are playing as a dynamic in India. And I think that probably over the next 30, 40 years, you will see India possibly break into some smaller entities, much like what's going on in the Middle East now, and what recently happened in the Balkans. You will see the same thing in India. The Kashmir question, it's a constant conflict. This is how it's divided, this region up here, between Pakistan and India. This is the Indian, this is the Pakistani, this is all Kashmir. You have three dynamics. One, Kashmir wants to be separate. Pakistan wants to control it all. India wants to control it all. It is they've fought numerous wars up here. This is not something that's going to be settled in the time. Currently, China has seized part of it. China and India fought a war over largely over this area here. So you have three nuclear players in here. And, if the Chinese economy were to collapse and China begin to disintegrate, which I think could happen also in the next 50 years, then I think you could see some other changes going on in this region here. Kashmir controls access through these passes into Afghanistan and Tajikistan and into Central Asia through China. There's control of water from this region, glaciers that feed the water, the rivers that run through Pakistan and through India and through China. So there's lots of reasons why this is going to stay a politically unstable region, and I think it is something that will happen. So Kashmir is still a contested region between both India and Pakistan, and they're both threatening nuclear attacks to secure control, and both countries maintain large military presence in the area. So I don't see this as anything that's going to be settled in the next 10 years. I think this is something that is going to continue to evolve, and this area that China has seized, this area I think will still be contested still between India and China at some point.